Hey everyone, this is Sorare Teacher. Now, over the last several days, I've gotten a lot of questions about how to actually build a successful Sorare team. And the problem that a lot of people are facing, especially now when prices have gone sky high, is that people just cannot afford to lay down $5,000 on a Sorare team in order to be successful and competitive right away. So, what I want to do is I want to go through 6 strategies that I use and that I've used since I started to be a successful trader, and then use those profits from trading to build a competitive Sorare team. So before I get started, I just want to preface with, one, this is not financial advice, and two, these are the strategies that I've personally used, tips, ideas that I've focused on since I started to make a lot of Ethereum just simply by trading rather than winning cards or winning things that I can sell on the platform. So let's go ahead and look at some 6 strategies that I use to be a successful trader and a profitable trader on Sorare. All right, one of the biggest ones, maybe one of the most no-brainer ones, is you have to learn how to identify undervalued players. Now, if you've been paying attention to the platform at all lately, you notice that the prices for pretty much everyone have gone up quite a lot. Well, there are some things that can help you try to identify people who could be worth more in the future, could be worth more very soon, and that's actually just looking at rumors surrounding the players, right? So if you go on Twitter, look at certain teams, go on Twitter for beat reporters, for local newspapers, they can be some of the first people to break stories about a player transferring, a player being injured, a player maybe being moved to a better situation where they might be scoring better, be surrounded by better players. So paying attention to rumors on things like Twitter or local newspapers is really key to getting players cheaper before the prices quickly go up from some good news about their playing time, their playing situation, a good transfer, things like that. You also want to buy people who are not doing so well or who are actually not playing. Let me give you an example here. On the screen, I have a picture of Diego Valdez. He recently transferred from Santos Laguna to Club America in Liga MX in Mexico. Now, after he transferred to Club America, his price went pretty high. I bought him for about 0.06 Ethereum. His rare now went for, I think, 0.16, so made a tenth of an ETH on his card. I sold him because I thought he was, prices were going up a little too fast, a little too high. So let go of him for about 0.1 Ethereum profit. However, when he got to Club America, he actually ended up getting COVID, or I think he got injured, something like that. And so he didn't play in their first few games. And as a result of that, his price dropped from 0.16 down to about 0.11, 0.12. And I actually rebought him for around 0.12, leaving with about 0.04 Ethereum profit, while also keeping the player that I want to use because I genuinely think that he'll be a really good player at America in this upcoming, or this current, I should say, Liga MX season. So pay attention to the rumors, pay attention to newspapers, Twitter reporters, pay attention to guys who might be injured or sick, because you can definitely get a good discount on quality players when they're not actively playing due to something like an injury or an illness. Second, look ahead at some players' schedules. If you think a player is going to have an easy schedule going forward, you want to pick them up because what really drives the prices of players in this game is their L5 and their L15 score, right? How they performed over the last 15 games or their last 5 games. When you have a really good performance, right, you have a high L5 score, they typically show up with a really big bright green box on Sorare, and that green number tells you, hey, they're playing really, really well. And so if you can buy a player who might have an easy schedule, like for example, I have on the screen right here, the Pumas. In about March and April, the Pumas in Liga MX have a very easy schedule against teams that are traditionally either bottom half of the table or at the bottom of the table. And so because of that reason, I actually picked up Juan Dineno, who is the starting striker for the Pumas, because I think in about a month's time, he's going to have a very easy schedule, which makes him very tasty for some decisives, whether they're goals or assists, pretty soon. So pay attention to schedules, because a good L5 score, a good run of form against easy teams will probably cause that player's price to shoot up quite a bit. Third, actually look at the player's price history. And I know this isn't necessarily the best indicator of how high a player could go or what they should be valued at, especially now as the platform is rapidly growing and the user base is changing. But taking a look at what players have historically gone for, what their all-time high in terms of price has been, can give an idea of how in demand that player might be when that player is performing well, right? So here in this picture, I actually have a picture of a center back for the Philadelphia Union, Jack Elliott. Now, as you can see, I bought him pretty low to what maybe could be considered the floor for Jack Elliott, right? However, at his peak, when he was playing really well, his price was much, much higher. I believe he was going for over zero point 0.2 Ethereum, and I actually bought him for about 0.06, 0.05 Ethereum down at the bottom of that graph there. So just knowing how in-demand players can be when they're playing well, how popular they are, what their price history has historically been, can give an idea of, hey, if I buy this guy cheap and he starts playing well again, or he breaks into the starting lineup again, this is potentially what his price could go back up to in the future. So you definitely want to at least take a look at the price history. Again, not the best indicator what their future price might be, but it can be used to give an idea of how badly the user base wants him when they're playing well. Number 4, and this is kind of a good strategy for trying to get offers quickly on your players, is try to keep your listings, the guys you're selling on the manager listings page, at the front page. And the best way to do this, and the easiest way to do this, is to simply check your players every few hours. Check your server account every few hours, see if you have any offers, and if you don't have any offers, cancel the listing. You just take it off the website completely, and then immediately relist him. So that way, if somebody goes to the manager listings page, your player will be on the front page, one of the first players they see when they actually go to the website. So, relist them over and over and over again until you get good offers, an offer that you're willing to take. One thing to note is that if you list a player and the listing goes on for a very long period of time, the listing lasts for about 2 days. If somebody knows that your player's been listed for a day and a half, and it's still for sale, it's probably because either you're a picky person, you're somebody who is not willing to negotiate, might be hard to pry that card out of your hands. And so you want to make it look like you've just listed the player, because that means, hey, this guy just listed him. Maybe he's willing to listen to offers or to trades. And so it incentivizes other people to actually send you offers when you're at the front page and your listing looks like it's relatively new. So there's kind of a good way to sort of game the system, if you will, by making it look like you just listed your player. And it also is one of the first players they'll see when they log into the website and are looking to buy off of the manager listings page. Number 5, when you're trying to sell the card you've purchased, right, when you're trying to actually do the flipping of the card that you bought, you want to list them when players are most desperate to buy something for their upcoming competitions, right? So as you guys probably know, if you've been playing Sorare at all, there are 2 game weeks per real life week, and the game weeks end Friday morning as well as Tuesday morning, right? And so before the game weeks start, that is when people are most desperate to fill their rosters, fill their galleries with guys that they can use in an upcoming game week, right? So list players right before the game week ends. That's when players will be most desperate to pay full price rather than haggle or just buy them outright. And also, if you have any players who are playing in a game week where there's not many teams playing at all, like let's say it's like a middle of the week game, and there's just not a lot of leagues that are active, or it's a break for a lot of leagues, but for some reason you have a player who's playing, right? It's in a league that's still active, or they have a game in the middle of the week. Well, you can sell that player for a premium, right? You have a lot of leverage if you have a player who's just one of a few teams that's actually playing during that given game week, right? Because people need players to play, they need them to start, to earn points, and if you're willing to part with a guy, right, who's playing in the middle of the week, then you can really sell that guy for a premium, because that's when they're actually at their highest value, right? When he's just one of a few people playing on the entire platform. And then last but not least, especially if you're a new player, especially if you're trying to build a gallery quickly in order to be competitive as soon as possible, you want to buy a player on their performance and not on their potential collectability. Now, if you have a ton of money, if you're a whale if you have ETH to burn, then by all means buy young players who aren't playing at the moment. Buy guys who may or may not get a good move to a big club, but that's not going to make you money in the short term, right? You're not going to be able to flip a guy simply off of maybe his potential or flip a guy who's not actively playing, right? You want to buy guys who have a strong L5 score, a strong L15 score, a guy who plays or starts pretty much every game, potentially a guy who has national team usability, right, utility. So focus on guys who are playing now, who play all the time, who are key cornerstones of their team. And eventually, right, when you have ETH to burn in the future, then you can start to move into the collectability side of the game rather than just the competition side of the game. So for right now, focus on active playing, active performance, and not collectability until you have money to burn later down the road in your Sorare career. So that's all I have for you. These are the tips that I use to try to buy players low, sell them high. Hopefully you can think about them, use these strategies in your own Sorare career. If you have any comments, please leave them down below. I'm happy to hear any questions or have any other tips that might be useful to people who might watch this video. But other than that, that's all I got for you, and I will see you next time. Bye, guys.